How's it going, guys? Welcome to my balance patch review. We're going to go in depth and give our analysis on the changes. Okay, so firstly we have Dralimar. I originally found Dralimar to be one of the most fun archetypes, but I am of the minority. I make up 1% of players who like combo decks, and I understand people hate it. I also think that Dralimar was flawed because of the magic inks. I thought it was silly that you'd have to play like 15 magic, no, 30. From 30 health, you'd have to play 30 magic inks to get lethal. Now, a card game designed around waiting while your opponent plays infinite magic inks for 30 cards is horrible. Thus, I think they've done a great job. We'll do a little, like, rating system. Yeah, so for a 6 mana 6/6 to get 1 free refresh, it's not a bad card. I just don't know if you bother playing it. Like, yeah, you get a 6 mana 6/6. Oh, but the thing is, it needs to survive a turn, right? Yeah, it needs ward. I agree. Like something. I agree. I like that. That's a good change, ward. I think Dralimar, they did a 7 out of 10. I'm happy with that. Anything that's like 5 out of 10, it's like okay. 7 out of 10 is good. Shalefire, I give a 10 out of 10. So they did really well with Shalefire. I think Shalefire is fine, because at the very least, it's like a 2/3, right? Cutthroat Insight, mana cost reduced. At first, I thought this was like unplayable, like a 3 mana. The thing is, I don't know. Tea Time says it's really good, and he's a very good player, so I take his word for it. Yeah, I don't know about worthless, but it's definitely like on the way out. So you give -1 hand size to your opponent for 3 mana, and you draw your own card. So I think the days of believing that Genesis would retain their value are over. And then like the nail in the coffin is belligerent. That 3 mana 3/4 that takes sleep off the board. That's only going to affect Demogorgons. Ludia's Deception 1 mana Cutthroat. Exactly, Professor. I was gonna say that, and that's why I don't understand this. Like, this is OP now. Like, the only difference for the 2 mana you get is your opponent doesn't draw a card. Ludia's makes them draw as well. And so for 2 extra mana, is it really worth it to avoid your opponent drawing? Is that 2 mana utility more important than your opponent loses a card? Yeah, so that's the difference. So Cutthroat Insight, it's gone to 3 mana. You 2 mana to push a card out of your opponent's hand. I don't know how useful that will be. You're not trading the board. You're not removing a creature on the board. You're not adding a creature to the board. You're not gaining favor. You do get to see their cards. I do think the CTI is okay, but I don't think it's like Ludia's. Is it really worth pushing a card out of their hand for 2 mana and them not drawing a card? Is it really that good for 3 mana? Is it really like put into your Deception deck and it's a good card, or is it better to have a creature on the board that can trade, deal damage, and win you the game? It's strong. The thing is, aggro ward, does it really care? But anyways, I don't. My gut reaction is saying that Cutthroat's not that insane, but if Tea Time says it's good, I'll need to like review it. I think obviously knowing what your opponent has in hand is great, but you can do that for 1 mana with Ludia's, but Deception doesn't usually need a extensive mana pool to curve out. Usually they do like one little thing a turn, they sleep the board. So if you wanted to sleep the board and play this 3 mana card, that costs 8 mana at a minimum for Deception to do, or you Spellbound and it costs 4 mana. It seems very bricky just to know what's in your opponent's hand. If it's aggro, it's going to be like 3 different 2-drops and a 3-drop, and you might push a 3-drop out and they'll draw a 5-drop. Or you push a 2-drop out and they draw a 1-drop. I don't know how insanely... Or they draw nothing and you just push a card out. But let's say your aggro opponent has 0 cards in hand. They're drawing 1 per turn. You scout their hand. It's 3 mana to draw a card. That's all it is if they have no cards in hand. It's really good against control, though, the Cutthroat Insight. I'd say from what it was, it's definitely a major improvement. So the funny thing is, the weird thing about this balance patch is the cards they show you are fine. Like, they've done a good job on most of them, but it's the cards they didn't nerf, which is the shocking part. Okay, after you cast a spell that costs 3 or less, refresh 1 mana. Okay. You reduce Alchemia, clone it, play both. Oh, so you have to play 2 Alchemias, but that's a lot more inefficient, right? Because to reduce Alchemia, that's going to cost you 4 mana and then a clone, so you're going to need 2 Warp Engineers and a clone, whereas the Dralimar doesn't require the clone at the end, right? So what you're saying is there's still Dralimar. That's so fucking funny. It takes one extra card of setup, which it actually creates major inconsistencies in the long run. Yeah, so there is still the loop, so they didn't really fix the problem, but I guess they did because the more inconsistent the loop is, the less likely you are to do it. You're spending too many brain cells figuring out this theoretical Archimia deck when you're on your way out. The thing is, Professor, I enjoy discussions like this, and I will still play as a free-to-play player as long as the game's not too stupid. I'll try and like maybe play a couple different decks and play free-to-play and try to be the free-to-play king and see how far I can get with each archetype free-to-play. I'll do that for a bit. It will get boring. Yeah, it will definitely get boring, but for a little bit it could be fun, who knows. I think Dralamar could be a sleeper card. I can build a deck with it and show you how it would theoretically work. Like, you could play Dralamar to the board and then Star Shard Bolt for free or some shit. If you're getting a free 4-mana spell or 6-mana spell, it's good tempo to get a 6/6 creature and a free spell. It's kind of like Unbound Flames and Warp Engineer. To a degree. Again, Magic doesn't like having a board because they have so many AoEs, so again, I don't know. I'm just... the reason I rate Dralamar a 7 out of 10 is not because of its design and playability. I just think getting rid of the Inks combo was a healthy start to the game. And if they don't have balancing people to code the game to fix Dralamar, then this is the next best. Working with the resources they have, the balance team did a good enough job, in my opinion. I'd say they did a 6 to 7 out of 10 in terms of fixing the toxic gameplay. Don't get me wrong, Dralamar's one of my favorite decks, right? But I do think 30 Magic Inks is very unhealthy for the game, and Infinite Magic Inks is also unhealthy for the game. And the more inconsistent you can make it, if you have to rely on a double Archimia, then so be it. Dralamar was like 50% win rate, but it's not all about balance, it's about how much fun you're having. And even though Fullback loves Dralamar, I love Dralamar, maybe Tea Time loves Dralamar, for the greater good, I can see, I give it a 7 out of 10 for getting rid of it. Teacher and Wrangler more toxic. True. If they, like, I agree, Teachers and Wranglers are toxic, but the thing is, God Hands, this is the reason why they're not. From a balance perspective, getting lethal on turn 5 is really stupid, but the value is they're more fun to lose against. I know it's really hard to understand and it sounds really stupid what I'm saying, but would you rather get 2 Form of Unities to the face and you're dead in like 5 seconds? Or would you rather sit there and get 30 Magic Inks minimum? 1 at a time, 30 times. Would you rather get, 6 School Teachers or 30 Magic Inks, 24 more cards? So it's not just the, they can't fix Wranglers, to be honest. They could do a couple things to the core cards. It would be okay, maybe, but it could ruin other archetypes. They can't really fix Teachers that much either because of Lost in the Depths. And Teachers isn't that consistent. Neither is Wranglers to be played as often as something like Dralamar, but they're all around 50% kind of eh. I mean, a good Teacher player, it is kind of toxic, I'll be honest. But at least Teachers is 6 cards and you're done. Dralamar's 30. So overall, I'm thoroughly impressed. Like, these 3, if you're doing 7 out of 10, you're doing a generally good job. Again, I don't think Dralamar is a good job. Cutthroat's an okay job. I'm pretty impressed. Shalefire, I'm amazed at it. It's perfect. It's really good balance, really good card design. It's also a good tribal synergy. How did they not change Wolf Recruit? Yeah, that is like beyond incompetence. So I could like go through so many different angles of why it's like advantageous to change Wolf Recruit. It's like one reason is it's blatantly broken, the other reason is it's blatantly not fun, and the third reason is you can't actually add more Olympians in future, expansions because Olympians are just so overtuned. If you added more, it's just like adding too much more fuel to the fire that's already got heaps of fuel. So they destroy themselves from like a creative, like drip feed tribal synergies and create new cards perspective. They keep doing this with core cards and with these OP cards. Do you guys remember my dumb ass saying that Bitter Endings at 4 mana was bad? The reality was I was just a shit Bitter Endings player. Once I finally like understood the combos and shit properly, I was like, oh, this is busted. You're getting a 4 mana 7 drop, you get 3 mana free, and then you can mimic it and get like 9 mana worth of shit for free. And instead of mana, your health becomes your mana pool, so now you can dip into a 15 mana pool and you've got a 5 to 6 mana pool from your hand. It's insane. Making it 5 or 6 mana would have been a nice little nerf, and it would have been like almost unplayable, but you'd still have some fun and you could still get some wins. It might be 50 to 60%, This 10 health change is like silly as. I don't like it at all. 15 health. To if your god has 10 health or less, add a 6 or 7 mana legendary, set its cost to 0, you take 15 at the end. Yeah, that's crazy. 10 health requirement is crazy. Crazy. Maybe go to 14 health or 13, but it should have been a 5 mana card. And it should be take damage at the end of your turn or something, not at the end of next turn. There's so many ways you could brush stroke it and do it so much more gentler. The problem with them is these guys balance with a fucking hammer. Like, they just slam the hammer at the fucking card. Like, they just go too fucking hard either way. Whether they're buffing a card or nerfing a card, they just slam it, bro. They need to learn how to, like, do brush strokes. They paint with, like, a fucking spear and they just stab it through the artwork. Like, they have no chill. You want to softly tap the ball and get it closer and closer and closer to the hole and then bang, in the hole. You don't want to hit it so hard that your goal is just... The ball's right in front of the goal, and you've hit it so hard it misses and slams and goes right in the opposite direction. Where are these brush strokes? They go from, like, insane buff to insane nerf to insane buff. It's like, it drives me crazy. Everything I see on here, they've done a decent enough job. It's like a 7 out of 10. It's more the Olympians that I just don't understand. I'm all for playable cards, but it's like... Too much snowball, not enough skill expression, and games are decided by like turn 2. Look, I got 6 wins this weekend in D-rank to Solar playing Rock Drakes. Like, it was already hard enough. But if it's for the sake of less toxic gameplay, then sure, nerf it. I don't care. Gamma, I think they did the right thing. I don't mind it taking from the Void, and do you get to choose? See, I think you should get to choose, because Void Hate can be so, like, ugh. Like, Gamma would be such a cool legendary if you got to choose. Could you imagine your opponent had, like, Feyriel in the Void and you got to grab it? Like, that would be cool. And I don't think it's broken, because you got to play the Gamma, it has to survive, and then you have to swing face that it have to not have a front line, and they also have to have something good in the Void. All these conditionalities make me say that Gamma would have been fine if it was a selection through the Void mechanic, not through random pull one from the top. Like, that's That's booty. Gamma's kind of booty. Whenever I play against Heart Mother, I feel this crushing of my soul. It's just like, oh, I can't do anything about this card and it's about to fucking go crazy. Like, it's about to just go way too crazy. There's nothing I can do about it and there's no skill involved. I just have to sit there, spread my cheeks, and if I'm lucky, I might get a bit of spit on the hole. You know what I mean? That's how it feels when I'm versing Heart Mother. Sometimes I might be lucky enough to pull like a fucking Cursor Greed, but a lot of the time they don't even use spit. They just fucking slam it, you know? It's very simple. They just need to fix Wolf Mother and Wolf Recruit, sorry, and Heart Mother, not Wolf Mother. Heart Mother and Wolf Recruit. Look, Village Vendor's strong, but as long as Wolf Recruit isn't stupid, it's like it takes more than one OP card to create an insane deck. But you don't want to buff Olympians to the point where you can't release new Olympians, because from a marketing perspective, you limit what you can sell in the future, for no good reason. Making one card that's the equivalent of like 10 Olympians is like not a good idea, because then you can't sell 10 Olympians that add, you know, 0.1% or 1% value towards the deck being even stronger, and you know what I mean? Instead of it being 51% win rate, it might be 51.5 if you add one extra Olympian, or 52 if you add another. But if you add Wolf Recruit, it's like you're adding an extra 10% win rate, and you miss out on adding an extra like 20 cards that could have been Olympian that could like slot into that tribal synergy. Because it's just going to be so OP, you're not going to need them. That's my take of the current balance. And then obviously the piece de resistance, we've got bitter endings here. Bitter endings, people don't like the idea you can do 30 damage in a turn. It perceptually just affects a lot of people because humans, joy is based on expectation, right? So if you expect something good to happen and it doesn't, it creates this void, and then what fills the void is disappointment. Where the amount of good you expected didn't occur, whatever amount didn't occur is replaced with that amount of disgust and disappointment. So it's like, people don't like thinking, oh, it's turn 6, I've got 30 health, I'm about to win this game. Oh, I've just been slept. I'll win next turn. Ah, I've been slept again. I'll win the turn after. I've been slept again. Oh, it's okay, I've got 30 health. This guy's on like 5 health. I'm going to kill him in like one turn. Oh, he just did 3,062 damage in one turn. So from a health perspective, Bitter Endings is horrible. I think regular Rock Drakes was good before Over the Line came in. It was kind of, but the game's changed so much, you need Over the Line to get lethal now. There's just so much more removal spells and removal creatures. It's just so hard to get away with having a 6/5 Rock Drake on the board and nothing else. The game sped up to the point where just having a Rock Drake alone was never enough. Back in the day, it was more than enough, but things have changed. I think the argument like, oh, the card's bad for now, but it'll be good later. It's like, build good cards for now. We live in the moment. When you want to change the meta, build good cards then to change the meta. Don't build cards that are shit now in the hopes that they'll be good later. But yeah, so that's it. That's that. Now let's get mad. Let's play some... Let's go to Midnight Shadow with Rock Drakes.